What's up? It's Sam Jack, aka Arb Samurai. Since October, I've made over $65,000 in profit using sportsbook arbitrage. And tonight, I'm giving you a front row seat to one of the most underrated tools in the game, live hedging. We're taking high value, positive EV bets and pairing them with live line movement to lock in guaranteed profits, regardless of how the game plays out. So this is going to be about strategy. This is going to be about math and positive EV, which is expected value. I'm going to use tools like OddsJam to scan pregame opportunities. We're going to track line movement together across multiple books. Then we're going to hedge live in the right windows to make sure I walk away with a guaranteed profit. Tonight, I'll show you exactly how I set up the bets, what I'm watching for in real time, and how I execute the hedge so you can see the mechanics behind consistent profit. If you're serious about building a second income stream through smart, calculated betting, hit follow, smash subscribe, watch closely, and let's get to work. So I'm going to switch over here. Now, typically, I'm going to be a little bit slower tonight because I have a setup here with 4 monitors. And I typically have the books and my tools across all 4 monitors. We're going to reduce it down to 2 so my third monitor can be, what I'm doing here with the recording and so forth. My first recording, bear with me guys, but I just want to take this opportunity to do a couple things to help you guys, to help you level up. At the same time, I'm leveling up. I'm doing things that are a little bit outside of my comfort zone. I'm introverted, naturally. But, I'm just putting myself out there and just want to continue to grow and strive and be a better, more successful human. So, so let me get back to what I was talking about, which was setting up my screens. So I'm going to have this. Let me fix this. There we go. So this is going to be my main screen that I'm going to kind of go over. It's going to be the OddsJam screen. I also have a second screen here. Let me fix that. This is going to be a second place where I can kind of see the ARBs. I can see a couple things that I'm monitoring that I'll kind of go over with you. I'll try to remember to toggle back and forth between screens, so bear with me there. But I want to get this kind of, I'm going to get this in front of you guys to share some of my knowledge and successes. And we'll go from there, right? So first things first, all right? So right now it's about 6:35 Eastern time. I usually will get started a little bit earlier. I have some house chores to do, but that's okay. Sometimes time is limited. I haven't logged into OddsJam or anything all day today. I've just been busy working with my day job and just doing things that I need to do for the house and for the family. So now we're going to jump in here. Let me switch the screen over to OddsJam. One of the first places that I go is to the expected value screen to kind of see what we have, anything pre-bet. We're coming close to game times here, so I'm going to move a little bit faster. But I have all the sports book that I'm working with tonight selected, which is going to be the offshore books. I have selected the filter for Major League Baseball. That's all we're going to be focusing on right now. I'm going to be looking at main markets, and I'm only going to be looking at money line. Other times I will look at other things like run line and totals and first half money line and total runs. Actually, you know what? Let's just go ahead and check those. So if those come up, we can potentially talk through those. And then the date range is today, and we'll just leave it as that. We'll show. So right now we're showing 10 items from my sports books. If you're not seeing anything, then you can expand out the different sports books that you might have access to. So the idea is to have access to as many sports books as possible, right? So that you can jump in and out. And one of the things that I've talked about in the past, and I'm going to talk about in the future as well, is something like Edge Boost, which allows you to have a central place to kind of store your bankroll that is easily accessible by many U.S. sports books, and that can go in and out, or the money can go in and out, the deposits and the withdrawals pretty quickly. And on top of that, they give you a cashback bonus for that. So theoretically, you can make hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month just moving your money in and out throughout the days and so forth. So anyway, let's take a look here. We got second one there is a 640 game. So that's one of the things I noticed is I want to maybe tackle the ones that the games are starting sooner. So this is the first half total runs. I tend to stay away from total runs and more focused on money line. We can definitely look at this one. So at this point, I expand 1.46 EV, and that's calculated by OddsJam based on, Pinnacle and a couple of other factors in terms of getting that expected value. And so when it says 1.46%, it's saying over the long run, you have an edge of 1.46%. So if you weren't aware, the house always wins. The house generally has something like a 4% edge across the board. So over time, they make 4% of profits on all the wages that are placed at their book. So this is just doing kind of the same thing in reverse. And so if we can target them, misaligned lines and so forth, and we can get 2, 3, 4, 5, 10%, we're doing the same thing. That we're, mathematically, we are going to profit over the long run. So that's what positive EV is, which is going to be a little bit more risk than such as like a true arbing, which is completely risk-free, or bonus conversions, completely risk-free. And then you get into some low-risk items like not positive EV, but like live hedging would be something that would be potentially considered lower risk. So, and then positive EV, just strictly one-sided betting. That's a little bit more gambling in it. So that's going to be, more risky. So I'm a little bit risk adverse myself. I've always been that way. So don't want to lose my hard-earned money. And anytime that I can find something that can help me make money with acceptable risk, I think I've found that here. So, so if we look at the Reds versus the Guardians first half money line, we can see that they're recommending at UWager, which is one of the books that I use. But in OddsJam, I use it for representation of wager attack, which isn't in OddsJam. So they got minus 125 there at UWager. Pinnacle's got it at minus 138 over here, and Bookmaker. So these are two books that I'm continuously looking at to see where they are, where the sharp money, and this is where the sharp action and the sharp books in the industry are. So Pinnacle and Bookmaker are two of the ones. I've heard Circa being another, but I typically look at Pinnacle, and sometimes I stack Bookmaker with it. So we can see that, I have minus 138, minus 136. Most of the market is actually in the 130s, and some of it creep up in the 140s. So if we can find something that's minus 125, it's about 10 points, 12 points better in terms of positive, positive expected value in terms of the range, for the lack of a better word. Now, I typically like to find something in the 15 plus range, but we're close here. We're close enough. We can take a look. So if we go to this one is, as I said, it's going to be wager attack. So we're going to go over let's move the camera here a little bit. And we're going to go into, this may have already started, but let's take a look at baseball. And we're going to look actually first half. And we're going to, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the Reds game on the Reds. So the Red game already in live. So let me make a note here. We got game coming up at 6:45. So if we go to the live section, and as I said, typically I have this on spread across multiple screens, but I'm going to really try to focus on putting this on one screen tonight to show you guys how I kind of go through my process here. So we got the Reds, our plus 102 here. I'm sorry, we're looking at the game. We want to dig deeper and go in the first half, first 5 innings. And the Reds are minus 105. Over here, minus, let's refresh. So that game's not here anymore. Let me talk a little bit about the refresh. So you can refresh it, especially on something that moves a lot like live. Refresh it like 2-3 times in a row just to ensure that the line that you're looking at is sticking. These things will move very quickly. You can always press the play button here so that and then have the little button for hover to pause. What that's going to do is anytime you're over this table, you can see that the play button is now showing play. So the board is paused. If I go off the board, it'll go back to the play. So it will refresh every so often. and so forth. So as it just refreshed there. So the other thing I'll do is go into the sportsbook screen page, and I'll look at these. And I want to look at the couple of games that went live. So if we go to Major League Baseball, we look at the money line, and this will have, I'll use the sportsbook filter out here to give me the sportsbook that I'm working on today. So a little pro tip for you guys, because a lot of you talk to me in the community are worried about limits and so forth. So one of the things you can do is that I found success with is that I will attack, 3 to 5, 3 to 6 sports books a night. And then the next night I will go into attacking another 3 to 6 sports books. And then the third and fourth night I'll do the same. There's that many sports books. It's like 12 in Michigan. There's the 4 exchanges that I use. There's 15 plus offshore books that I use, and there's well over, 30, 40, 50 plus. So there's a lot more for me to expand to, even though I've been at it pretty hard for 7-8 months now. So we'll look at 4 games have started. They're all 0-0 already. And we have Pinnacle in the first row that we look at as our reference. Plus 21 on the Tigers, plus 15 at Bet Online, minus 47 on the Orioles. We click on that just to see what the this is another great tool, is looking at the odds graph to see where the line is, the line movement. So this has been pretty close most of the day, and this same 119 to 132 range. There is some movement. It went down, now it's back up, so 15 minutes ago and so forth. We can look at the other side, plus 116. So this stuff already moves. So like right now, we're at the bottom of the first. So the Orioles are batting, right? So this, 15 minutes ago when the game was kind of starting, it was minus 133. But now that the Tigers didn't score at the top, this is already moved back to 127, down to 127. Anyways, so right now, none of these are really that crazy. If I look at the 4 games, this one's minus 105, and these are over. Now, I have to talk to OddsJam support to see why the live action is not showing up for Betmania, UWager, Jazz, and Evergame, because it's definitely live play there. And so the Marlins, well, we have to reference is Pinnacle and Bet Online, so we might have to look at it a bit more manually tonight. Or we can try to jump in at the 7-10 games, which are in 20 minutes. So if we look at the Rays, minus 101 at the Pinnacle. The trend is pretty steady for the last hour. At one point earlier in the day, it was minus 113, so it's been the money and the information and the line has been moving in the plus direction, if you will. And if we consequently look at the Red Sox, we should see the opposite, where at the beginning of the day, 10 hours ago, it was they were an underdog at plus 105, and that's just been slowly moving to being the favorite, and it's still going up, right? So minus 107 right now, was 105, but it did do a big jump around 9 hours ago to minus 106, right? So something happened there. Information was shared, or money was sharply bet. So these are things, they're on top of that way more than we ever could be. And so that's why we kind of pay attention to what those are. So yeah, I understand that we've been here, a few minutes here, and I haven't put a wager in, but sometimes that's the way it is. I don't see a lot of things right now. I am missing some data from the live games, but let's look at the rest of the 7-10 games. So if we look at the Nationals, plus 129, everyone else a little bit higher than that, so that's a little bit of an EV, very small. But as I said, I try to look for 15 plus points, minus 140. Everything is higher than 140. So the Pinnacle line is a little bit closer to even. Okay, those are the 2 7-10 games. So nothing there. Let's go circle back to the earlier games. Now, one of the things that I have is I have quite a bit of a rollover and money in a bankroll, I should say, in BetMania. Now, BetMania is not allowing me to do live betting right now, so most of that stuff has to be pregame. So one of the things I'd like to do, I'll just kind of walk you through this strategy as we circle back to this, is look at arbitrage, calculator, and I'll split that over to the right so I can use both screens here. But BetMania plus 101, minus 110. So what I can do is basically look at a low hold situation. And so minus 101, minus 110, go 500 here, which is the max that they allow. 521 there. That's a 2.6.3% loss. And when we do bet holds, I'd like to find things that are under 2% to continuously kind of low holds, to continuously move the money back and forth to kind of hit the rollover safely, right? All right, so then we have Washington Nationals plus 130, and we have on the other side we can get minus 141, and that's going to be a little too much of a spread. It just barely makes it actually 1.98%, $20. So if we put 500 here, $22 loss, but it is $500 towards the rollover, right? And so let's go ahead and lock that in. So again, that was the Nationals Mets game. It's actually 133 here, so that's not quite updated. Let's update that. It's going to be even better. And then on the other side, we are looking at 141's gone, but we can go to 142 for Jazz. And as I said earlier, typically I'd have these already logged in, already kind of going in my different pages, refreshing, just making sure that I'm active, that I'm logged in. All right, so this one's going to be baseball, Mets and Nationals, minus 142. So if we go back to our calculator, we got 133, 142. Let's go and lock this side in at 500. And then on the other side, it's going to be 684. I'm going to round that up. Make sure this went through. It hasn't gone through yet. I'm going to refresh. All right, now it's back to 130. Let's make sure everything's good. 130 is 2.16%. It's good enough. Just over that 2% threshold. But we're going to go ahead and lock this in. 500 here. And 675 at 142. Okay, so we've locked that low hold in as soon as this goes through. And so that helps with my bankroll. That's 500 towards the bankroll, which I think not bankroll towards the rollover. Rollover is like 20 grand altogether. So there's 5 right there. It's either going to, the Mets are going to cover, and that 500 or that 475 out of 500 will go into Jazz, or the 675 from Jazz will go into BetMania, and that's a loss of about $25 either way, which is just the name of the game. Remember that you're leveraging, you're already converted their bonuses that they've given you, so that's why you have the high rollover, and make out in the end. And you have a $20,000. You have a $20,000 bankroll, a $20,000 rollover, and then you are trying to roll that over with, let's just say there's $4 grand at BetMania. If you're able to circle through that $4 grand every day, 4 times, and if you still have money at the end of that cycle, so 4 times, just say it stays at 4,000 every day, 10 days or 5 days, it's going to be 20,000, right? So it's got to stay consistent and keep doing that. And be disciplined too. Don't take anything too much higher than 2%, because it just doesn't work out in the long run. All right. So just checked here real quick. No scores so far. So we're doing not much changes. But what I do want to do is I want to make sure that I put this in my bet tracker. So what we're doing here is we took the Mets. We took the Nationals at BetMania for 130 for 500, and then we took the Mets at Jazz, and I believe it was 143, 142 for 675. 142 for 675. Okay, so that's in there. One side will win, one side will lose. Money will be rotated back and forth. That's the idea with low holds. Tigers are up 1-0. That's a good sign. The line is still low. We go to BetMania, lock that in. Live betting. Tigers just cleared away. Oh, just came back. Minus 115. That's completely fine. We're at a 1-0 lead. Let's go 300. If it's close to 100 and a team takes a lead, it's completely worth jumping on them, because as the innings go by, we'll take it for minus 120 as well. The innings go by, the lines are just going to go more in your favor over and all, and you're taking a favor. They have the early lead. So there we go. So we got that in. Tigers minus 120 for 300. So let's go back to the board and update our tracker. Now, when I do these, I like to also write it down on my notepad next to me. And why I do this, it gives me a visual that I can quickly look down and see. I'm going to show you but basically I write down the book first. In this case, it was Bet Online. It was the Tigers, and it was minus 120 for 300. And then what I do after the 300 is I say what the plus is, and the plus in this case I believe was to win 250. That's the plus. So when I show you this, it's going to be backwards, I believe. When I show you this, you'll see Bet Online, BO, Tigers, minus 120, 300 to win 250. So I know that I need to look back at this and find the other side for better than minus 120, typically anything in the plus side. And then when I look at how much to win, I want to be able to cover at least 300, right? I want to cover my bet on the other side, and that will be a arb at that point. And that helps me just kind of visualize that and see it and have it right next to me, as opposed to trying to hop around screens. It's a little bit old school, but it does help me that way. I circle the BO. I circle the book just to tell myself that I did put that in the bet tracker. Some of these are manual entries, so I'm kind of going through that. So we got Tigers minus 120, and we'll circle back on that. And for whatever reason, it's interesting enough, Pinnacle, we're going to the bottom of the second, so it's very possible that something's going on in that game, which we could go to like my bookie. It's another thing that I'll do a lot when I have my book spread out across my screens. I'll watch the game, and the feeds through the casinos are faster sometimes than on cable or YouTube or etc. So we go live stream, and this will load. Sometimes the load will take longer. I think actually Jazz Sports has one of the better, quicker feeds. So if we go here to live wager, all right, we go to baseball, we go to Tigers. The feed will come in pretty much right away, usually faster. Sometimes I see this. There we go. 1-0, bottom of the second. Already moved it, even though the Tigers are winning, which is strange. I don't typically see this, but the Tigers are minus, and the Orioles, just because they're batting at the bottom and they're up, they don't have anybody up on base. But I'll watch that. As soon as somebody gets on base, the lines really fluctuate. But we're going to look to circle back at the top of the second inning to see if we have an arb opportunity. If it's not going to be at the top of the second, maybe at the top of the third, and so forth. But once it's already going down because I bet somebody just got an out. So if we go to Jazz and we take a look here, and actually there is somebody on first or on second. So that's why they have, as I said, someone gets on base. They did get an out, but somebody gets on base, that line fluctuates a little bit. So at this point, it's very early in the game. I'm just going to let it go. Tigers have the lead. I could, be very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? At this point, I could be very, very conservative and hedge out, But there's 2 outs, runner at third now. All right, let's go back to see what's going on. So because there's 2 outs, it's even gone to plus 103. I could hedge out at this point, plus 110. Now that wouldn't be a profitable hedge, but you know, I go in and out of things all the time. You know, my minus 120 is better than its minus 141 already. So, and Pinnacle, the shark book has it closer. So, closer to even, you know, even line. No scores in the other game. Looks like the lines are pretty close. Not seeing a particularly big difference. You know, this one's a big difference, but in the opposite direction. So Pinnacle's got plus 101. This is 21 points in the opposite direction. So we wouldn't want to take that. But if they were like plus 101 and this was plus 120, we would want to take that, right? All right, so we did lock in the Nationals and the Mets. We got a 740 tip coming in 35 minutes. And see if we have another low arb opportunity real quick. So we have Betmania at 170. Not the best one, but 170, and this is 184 maybe. So that might make the cut. 170 at 1.8%. So let's go to UWager and see if we can get the Yankees at 184. The Yankees are 189 here. Let me just refresh. All right, so Yankees are 189. That's not going to work. Oh, I'm sorry, Betmania. I need to go to wager attack in the pregame section. Yankees minus 198. That doesn't seem right. Yeah, that's way up there. 198 is not good. So that's not in line with this UWager one. And the next one after that is Betmania, but that's what we're trying to bet out of. So that won't work. If we look at this game, we got 108 and 119. I believe that's just out of 2% range. Yep, 2.4%, too high. We'll go to the next 740 game. We have 117 and 125, and that should do it. Minus 125 and 117. That's going to be 1.64%. Perfect. Let's go lock in the Brewers at 117. Brewers, 117, 500. Boom. Double check the other side. Since I don't have it on multiple screens, we said minus 125 at Jazz. Go back to the pregame. Minus 170. I'm losing it. Getting old. All right. It was minus 125 the Braves. Okay. Minus 125 Braves. Minus 125 Braves at 414. No, I got that backwards. 500. That's 603. So we'll put 600. Braves. All right, 126 now. Just moved. Not a big deal. 126. 500. 605. 1.84%. 605. All right. Boom. Didn't take. Why not? Let me see here. Yeah, refresh. Back to 125, which was 600. 100. Place bet. This bet cannot be accepted. The balance exceeded. Oh, I only have 417 in here. So what we can do is, I couldn't see that from the camera. We'll do 415 here. Okay. We need another 185. So we'll do 415 here. And we need another 85 at 125. So we have Jazz, we have every game right there. So if we go every game, it's not every game, sorry, Sportsbook. All right, that was Braves, 126, so 185, place that. All right, so if we record that low arb, so we were at the Brewers, at Betmania, go through. Brewers, 117 for 500. Brewers 117, 500, and then it was, first was Jazz, line change. Jazz did not take, so I took off too soon. Still minus 124, we'll still put that 415, so I missed that. That's why it's good to have multiple windows, and in the future, as I get more used to this, you know, recording and so forth, I'll have a better setup. I know I've seen others do that. So we go back here. The Tigers are still up. The Cubs just went up, so we'll circle back on that. See right here, we got plus 104, got plus 120 at DraftKings. We can do an even arb right there, so not quite yet there. So wait, hang on. Taking the Cubs at 154 is enticing. 10-point difference, plus they're up 1-0. And they're a better team. Yeah, let's do that real quick. Actually, we'll come back to recording this. So we'll go to Bet Online. We'll go to Cubs 154. I only have 178.17 left in here. Just went to 149, which is fine. Better. Waiting for that to go through. Come on. So while that's waiting, I'll go ahead and write that down. That was Bet Online. Cubs minus 149 for 178.17, which wins me 119.58 or 120. Okay. Those I really want to track, so let's track that first. We got the Cubs 149 for 117. No, I'm sorry, 176. Well, I can read my own handwriting sometimes. 178.17. 178.17 at minus 149. Moving on me. 78.17 track. There we go. That's in the book. Circle back to the low hold. So the low hold, Brewers plus 117. I believe that we record that. We can go to Bet Tracker and we can go here and check. We got the Cubs, the Brewers 117 for 500. We do not have the other side. So let's go ahead and do that. We put that at two places. One was Jazz. So the Jazz, did I just do that? Took the Braves minus 124 for 415. It's the Braves. It's 124 for 415. And then we also took them at every game. 185 for minus 126. And you can, right here, right here, 185. All right, so we got that low hold recorded as well. All right, Tigers still up in the middle. Baltimore Orioles are coming to the bottom. Therefore, the line is going to move in their favor a little bit. Reds and Guardians. We have the Reds at minus 102. And Bet Online had it higher. So because I'm not seeing these, what I'm going to start doing is spreading my windows out so I can monitor what's going on. BetMania, we don't have in terms of live betting. Bet Online, I am tapped out now. Jazz, I'm tapped out as there. So we're just, money's kind of moving back and forth. So right now we're going to use my bookie every game. And we can use waiver attack. So those three. All right, so we have those. I'll move those as I identify lines. Okay, so if we look, Boston Red Sox are coming to bat, 137. Let's see what we have here. Move this a second. Actually move this over real quick so you can see it. Baseball, 112, 112. Let's say Boston is coming up to bat, 135, 108. 135. They had it at all right, let me see. The Red Sox minus 137. Every game has it at 141. My bookie has it at, and we're not seeing my bookie here at all. Let me make sure I have it selected. Yeah, I sure do. Refresh this page. It's not showing up tonight. Oh, it just showed up on a refresh, but still missing this stuff. So that'll help. At least my bookie will help is one of the three books I'm using right now. Every game is the other one. And wager attack being the third. So nothing's sticking out right now. We'll just continue to monitor. I got my sheet here. I can do a quick glance. Tigers minus 120. Cubs minus 149. Orioles just jump up to plus 110 and at the bottom of the third. So that's a good sign that at the top of the fourth, that could be our opportunity. The Cubs minus 149 are up, or actually down now. So there, I took them minus 149. So here's an opportunity where we could hedge out. Once we get up to 200 or so, things get a little bit risky. 178 is the wager. So if we use the calculator and say that we took the Cubs at 149 at 178, and right now the best thing we can get is maybe 172. Now this is at the bottom. It could be still have people on bases. I can bring up the game on TV. But I'll just go based on the numbers here. 178. So we could wager 190 and hedge out and take a $70 loss so that we don't lose 178 later. Now the Cubs are the better team. I'm gonna let this ride at the top of the third. That could change. It's already back up to 200. So we're just gonna circle back. At this point, you can hedge out. And the night that I'm more active, it may hedge out because I'm going to lock down more lines. But tonight's going to be less lines. I can just feel that I'm going slower. So the Nationals are up 2-0 now. And it's still minus 154, which is a great line to jump in on. So let's go to my bookie. And I say that's a great line because they're up 2. They're up 2 already. It's already moved to 182, which is still fine because they're up 2. Anything under 200, that's considered really good. So go ahead and put 300 on that. Just went off market. Just came back. 300. Write that down. My bookie, the Natties, minus 182 for 300, which will give me 164. That's a very possible let it ride one. I mean, they're already up 2. On the opposite side, the Mets are plus 145. So another one we can watch. We'll move this up here. Now the Orioles are plus 115 at my bookie. Not quite a arb, so we'll hang out. So we'll hang out some more. Still at the bottom of the third. The Reds and Guardians are still pretty even. Although if you look here, if we can snag this Reds, and it moved to 154 already, so we missed that update there. So we could have tried to snag that. It was a 30-point difference between Pinnacle and my bookie there for at least a few seconds. So you can get faster with repetition, but you're going to miss some too. And when you're doing straight arbing and stuff like that, and you identify 20 arbs, you lock down 1 or 2 or 3, you're making progress. You're doing well. You're going to miss more than you're going to get. But as long as you're locking down a few, you're making profits. And as your bankroll increases, you'll be able to put more on both sides of the line, and therefore, your percentage is the same, but your total profit is going to be higher and higher. All right, the Marlins are up. We got minus 205, so these are not particularly enticing lines, but they are up 2-0. 2 is a good magical number. When a team is up 2 early, so that's really good. But I'd like to see if I can get it under 200. Or 211 even. I'm going to check wager attack. 220 there. Every game, 244. And my bookie, 250. So that's moving up. Then we missed our boat on that one. We can look at, we missed our boat on that one. So my bookie, 13 points lower than Pinnacle. We could take that right there, the Guardians. Just moved up to 18. Still 8 points. Is that right? 129 and back to 111. And 105. Let me lock that in. Back up to 118. So these things move. They definitely move. 118 versus Pinnacle being, Pinnacle being 129 is still 11 points. Not terrible. It's some value. And the Guardians are a better team. So let's just go there. 118 is close to, 100. So if it was minus 170, there'd be a little bit less fluctuation. But the closer you are to 100, there's going to be more fluctuation. So as you can see there, I locked it in. Guardians minus 118 at my bookie for 300, which will net me 254. Right. 13 minutes till the 7:40 games. If we take a quick glance, we have 168 and 88, 20 points is typically not 2%. It's a little bit more. It's 2.5, 3. 108 and 120. No, 12 is too much. 116 and 125. That might do it every game. So let's check that. Minus 125 and 116. That is 1.85%. So we can jump on that low hold. That work here. 5. Every game. 116. I'll lock in this side first. Bet Mania. 116. Oh, I'm moving really slow. Which game was it? Braves? Did that game. Can't do that one. All right. I already did the Braves and the Brewers. So, Blue Jays is 109 and 120. That's close. 2.4%. Not close enough. For me, this is fun too. Especially if I'm streaming or I'm not. I'm watching the games. It's fun. I can also, I can get a little bit of a feel. So, the Tigers, Orioles just tied up Tigers. So that hurts our play there, but it's a tight game. We'll continue to watch it. Still in a strong position. Marlins are up 2. That line's edging up, and it's way out of, my bookie and Bet Online are way out of whack with Pinnacle, but not on the other side. So Cubs, a lot of difference there. Phillies, nope. Red Sox are up 2-0. We did not jump on that game. It's all right. That's why it's not highlighted. Being up 2-0. It is highlighted. Did I miss something? I got Cleveland, Nationals, Cubs, and Tigers. So I don't have it. Now Nationals are, keep an eye on, I already got the Nationals at 182, so that's good. The Mets are at 170 at Bet Online, so that's getting closer to being an ARB. A low ARB, but an ARB. The Cubs at minus 149. We said that we're going to hold out there. Cubs are a really good team. We'll see. We'll let that ride a little bit. Nationals minus 182. We just talked about that. Cleveland minus 118. And Cleveland is very close to an ARB. That's at the bottom of the 4th. Actually, if we had funds at Bet Online, 125, that would be a small ARB. But as I said, I took that because the Cleveland is a better team. And that will start to look better if they score a run here at the bottom of the 4th, or make it to the bottom of the 5th with a scoreless or a tie game. The Orioles are at the bottom of the third, so that line is going to move more in their favor. So we'll look for the Tigers to get through the bottom of the 3rd, come back to the top of the 4th, and see what that looks like. That's kind of where we're on holding pattern at this point. Low hold. So I got on here about 6:40. I've been at it for 40 minutes, and 45 minutes. I got 3 low holds in, I believe it was, and four bets in now. So theoretically, I get those 4. I get the hedges lined up on the other side. That'll be 8 bets, and I typically do about 25 to 35 bets like this every night. So right now it's a bit slow. I'm not getting my 25. I'm a little bit slower being on camera and having just basically the one screen that I'm working off of. I am now using the other screens to look at the other books. I'm a little bit limited by the OddsJam tool tonight, just a bit. I'm not getting data for UWager, Jazz, and every game, live data. So something going on there. Typically by now I will lock in a few ARBs, but that hasn't happened yet either. Cubs have tied the game. Minus 149, they're going to be favored now because they tied it. But they're holding for that line to move even more. Cleveland line has come back to closer to where we were, minus 118. So they must not be doing that well at the bottom of the 4th. Top of the 4th, the Tigers are going up to bat, and they are the underdog. Now, Boston's up 2-0 now. So even if we took Boston earlier, when we were talking a few minutes ago, I believe we would have been able to ARB now because the Rays are up to 250. Right now I'm just looking at the boards for every game, wager attack, and my bookie. Marlins just went up 3-0. So another one we could have jumped. It was in a low minus 200. Now the Pirates are plus 295. And it's still early in the game, but at minus 400, I'm not going to take the Marlins. It's just not enough of an EV or a positive wager. Okay. We could jump back on the Cubs. Plus 110 at my bookie. 7 points better than the Pinnacle line. But we're not going to. We already have action on the Cubs. No, I'm just getting to the line to see if anything jumps off live or at the 7:40 games, 8 o'clock games. Taking a look here. Blue Jays at 105 at Pinnacle, 110 at a couple books. A little bit of an EV, minus 114 and no EVs there. White Sox, nothing. On the White Sox, the Astros, Batmania has it at 160. U-Wager has 153. That could be a low hold. 160 and 153. It's 1%, 1.06%. So let's check wager attack for the U-Wager. That was Blue Jays and Cards. 106, 160, 150. I'm looking at the wrong one. 160 and 153 for the White Sox. So we got 152, which is going to be fine. And I got 194 there, so let me go ahead and lock that in. Alright, 194 at 152. And we go for 300 at Batmania, opposite the White Sox. That is not what I expected. Oh yeah, 162, yeah, right? 160, 4, 300, still 1.5%. Let's record that low hold. So that was 162 here for 100, and that was 152 here for 194. So we got that low hold in. Circle back here. The Tigers are up. That line is not moving that much. We're at the bottom of the fourth, so we just missed the Tigers scoring. So that probably trickled down if we take a look here. So it's, I clicked the wrong line. Sure did. Baltimore Orioles, 125. This here. It's not updating. Not updating. What's going on, OddsJam? I want to be able to see that. Yeah, I'm saying. It's not minus 127. It's plus 130. So that's not being useful right now. But at plus 125, we do have an ARB at this point. It is a low percentage because we have minus 120 and 125. There's 300 on there. I could put 244 on there for a $5 profit. I am looking for 5% and above. So we'll wait a little bit. But online has it at 130, which we have the Tigers bet at Bet Online, and that's where like the notebook comes in handy. But if we were able to get that, that jumps up to 2% or $10. Wait a little bit. As we get to the top of the fifth, that should look better. The Reds are up now. We take the Reds? And we took the Guardians, so we have to wait on that. That jumped up quite a bit. They probably have more runners on base. Marlins are still up big. Cubs are tied at the bottom, though minus lines for both sides. The Philadelphia minus 111 is completely opposite of what Pinnacle has at plus 103, but opposite in the other direction. The Red Sox are up 2-0, minus 333, minus 330. Make sure I got the games that we have action on highlighted. So we have Guardians, Cubs, Nationals. Nationals are up 3-0. I missed that. So we're going to take a look at there. We should be able to arb out. So still giving the Mets some love at plus 150. Are you kidding me? That's a lot of love for a 3-0 game. We'll see what happens at the top of the third. Yankees are up 2-0. That was something I was considered taking at pregame. That didn't happen. Probably would have normally, but that's way out beyond 200 now. It's at minus 500. Not a good value compared to Pinnacle at minus 459, and just frankly too high of an odd to make a dent. Rangers and Twins kicked off. They're both at minus. The Braves and the Brewers kicked off, or pitched off, or however you say it. I'm a basketball guy, not a baseball guy at all. Blue Jays, Cardinals, also minus on both sides. Another low arb that I see is the Athletics and the Angels. Not a low arb, but low hold. We got 140 at BetMania on Athletics, minus 154 at UWager. However, that's later in the night. I could lock that in. Actually, I technically couldn't because I don't have the funds at Wager Attack right now. They're tied up. So we'll circle back on that. Cubs are up 3-2, so that should change in our favor here very quickly. Pinnacle has got Phillies at plus 150, which is going to be a break-even point. And my bookie just came in at plus 140. So we'll hang on to that. But if I put the live stream on for the Cubs, see if they have anybody on base. And that they're just showing that he had a home run. So probably nobody on base. Yep, nobody on base. Next batter up. 1 out. Cleveland struggled a little bit the last few games. So have the Cubs. Now, definitely, I haven't done it yet, but at some point I will open an account at Pinnacle and start wagering there yet. So, like, I would be pretty comfortable taking the Twins right now, minus 151 at Pinnacle, who's 16, 17 points plus, better than, lower than everybody else. So, that's a good price. Minus 111 for the Braves is a better price than just about all the other offshore books, but not the U.S. books. So getting that good price is key. That's where you're not leaving percentages on the table. If you go, plus 100 at one book and plus 150 at another book, and you put in $100 at both, one will give you $100, the plus 100. The other one will give you $50, right? Is that what it is? I'm not the greatest with the odds. Still getting used to it. But minus 150, $100, it's actually $67 as opposed to profiting 100, just because you did some shopping, some line shopping, and got the better price. So that is key. And if you do that over the long run, you're going to reduce the house's edge, you're going to increase your edge, and you're giving away free money. If I continue to do that, I'm giving away $33 in that example. And it just says stacks. Orioles are plus 215. Let's lock that baby in. My bookies are at 220. So we run the real numbers real quick. Minus 120 at 300 and 220. And we're looking at 170 at the other book. My bookie, 170 for the opposite, the Tigers. Oh, now it's 215. We like that. It's I'm sorry. I must have said something wrong. Or mistype. So 175, still $75 profit. Lost my window. Not smooth. All right, 215, 175. Place the bet. I'll write that down underneath my Tigers bet. So we have my bookie, Orioles, plus 215. That was a 175 bet for 376 profit. All right. So if this line covers, we're going to get 376. Which is $76 more than the $300 we wagered on the Tigers. If the Tigers win, we'll get $250, which is also $75 more than the $175 we wagered just now. So we're guaranteed $75. We can continue to, leave it, we can hedge it, we can continue, but I'll take the $75. And you might look at it as saying, well, you spent $575 or you put $575 to win $75. Initially 100 on a line that was a positive EV line that I have an edge in. And then the opportunity came to lock in profits and not, be emotional about it, not wait till the end of the game. I've been a part of sports for 25, 30 years, and I've seen the craziest things in my life. I know that anything is possible in sports. No need to ride it out. Take the conservative approach and enjoy the games. All right, so that one's good. Let me put that in the bet tracker with my bookie for 215 at 175. All right, we'll uncheck that unhighlight it because we're not watching it anymore. Guardians are still down. The Cubs are up and it's plus 160, which if we do the math, we took the Cubs minus 149 for 176, and then, 178 actually, and 149, 150 now, so it moves just a bit, 150, I think it was just 169 or something, just to give you an example what that looks like. You know, I got profit of $9, only to almost 3%. So I want just a little bit more. But we can lock it in here because we're in the fourth inning at the top. But the Cubs are a better team. I'm gonna let that one ride a bit more. Nationals are up 3-1. The Mets are at plus 155, so they're still getting the love. They were down 3-0. Now they're up or down 3-1. So they did close the gap. Going to the bottom of the third, they're going to be up to bat again. The numbers are going to be in their favor a little bit. So we'll circle back on that. The Yankees are too high at minus 500. The Rangers and Twins, I don't see anything sticking out there. Neither with the Braves and the Brewers. And the Blue Jays are up 3-0. And that one we took the low hold. Double check the 8-10 game, which is another 15 minutes. Opposite direction. We're not getting value here. According to Pinnacle, got a little bit of value here with U-Wager at 155 on the White Sox. And I do know we took low hold on the White Sox earlier, but that's irrelevant to this strategy. I just want to make sure that I don't bet the opposite line at the book that I placed earlier. So one of the reasons I write it down. So we just have 4 active lines right now. Locked in a $75 guaranteed profit on the Tigers game. We're watching the Cubs, who currently are up, and we have 178 on that. The Nationals, who are currently up 3-1 at 300, and we have Cleveland minus 118 at 300, who's currently down by 1-1 at the bottom of the fifth. So that's getting closer to the third, like the last 3 innings, 7, 8, 9. So we're gonna watch that. We might hedge out of that at some point so that we don't risk the whole $300. Give you an idea if we were to do that right now. We took the Cleveland at 118 for 300. We could take the Reds at 200. And so we would put 370 on the Reds. That's the other book at my bookie. Actually, it wouldn't be my bookie since I already placed Cleveland there. But that would be a loss of 115. That hurts, but it's not 300. But I'm gonna hold. I'm gonna hold off to the 7th inning. So look at this. Bet Online has Blue Jays minus 300. Bet Mania or Bet my bookie has 275. That's very close to an ARB already. So if I had some funds in Bet Online, I would take that. This one, that's way out of whack, to 400. So just checking that line at every game. The Jays are minus 370. Not quite 300 we were seeing a few minutes ago, and the Bet Online line has moved to 350. Still solid value at minus 350. Now that's over the 200 I typically like to do, but at minus 300, and it was 400 at my bookie. This is a huge gap, huge EV. But even now at minus 350, you're still 36 points better than Pinnacle. I would take that with a 3-0 lead. Absolutely, that sounds like easy money. And I could deposit into it right now, but I'm not going to. I have a strategy with basically losing. I lose out of these books quite a bit, like on purpose, and they go where they go. But books like Bet Online, they offer reload bonuses all the time, and I take advantage of those. There's books that I really try to lose out of. I try a little bit, like Wager Attack. Wager Attack gives me a 200% bonus every time I reload. It's crazy. So those are great ways to continually stack wins, risk-free, and convert those into real cash. Tigers are up 5-1. So we're in a really big ARB at 525. Just to give you an idea, let's just say we didn't do that 4 or 5 minutes ago. It was 120 for 300, and now it's 500 at my bookie We could have put down $90 and guaranteed $160 in profit, which is a little bit more than double that we locked down. We locked down 75. So sometimes timing is there, you know. It was the bottom of the fourth when we did that. Now it's the top of the fifth. So Tigers are up, they scored. That happens, it's the nature of the beast. But we're trying to, you know, be emotionless here. We're just trying to follow the numbers. Who gives us the best price, line shopping, lock in those hedges when they're there, or those arbs when they're there, you know, take the guaranteed profits. Things are a little slower tonight. We only locked in one so far. So I'm on this recording a little bit longer than I anticipated. But we started at 6:40, 8 o'clock now. Typically would like to wrap it up by now. I'd like to go 1 to 2 hours at the most doing this. But we'll go a little bit longer and see if we can lock in some additional arbs. Phillies are plus 145. Still too close to the like an even arb. We got the Cubs at minus 149. Continue. That just jumped up to look at the Guardians. Guardians are top of the six. Still waiting there. No value with the Marlins. You know, look at the Marlins. You got Pinnacle at minus 597. Everybody else in the 700s except for Caesars. If you have access to Pinnacle, right now I would take that. They're a 200 point swing. Is that right? Pretty close. 150 at some books. That, you know, it's not going to get a lot, but that's the value. You know, you put your unit on that, 100, 200, whatever your unit is, $50, $40. I encourage you guys to, you know, as you do these things, as you do low arbs, if you do risk-free arbs, start with smaller numbers, wagers. Get used to it. Get used to navigating the pages, the sports books. Get used to navigating OddsJam. And you'll get faster and faster at it. And you can increase your bankroll as you get faster, more efficient, and skillful at it. You can increase your units as your bankroll increases. And you're going to be in a better spot. You're going to be making more. You know, my story is I started back in October. I hired a coach to help me and to teach me about sportsbook arbitrage. I've been a recreational bettor for many, many years. I've been in sports. I've played collegiate sports. I know that the house always wins, so I've been, risk adverse. But I always thought I knew sports pretty well, and I bet here and there, but nothing crazy. I was risk adverse. I think overall I actually kind of won over the long run, but nothing crazy. I know that if I went too deep in it or so forth, that I would lose money because the house always wins. But I stumbled upon this sportsbook arbitrage, hired a coach in the space. They took me through the books. I started with a bankroll of $2,500 in October. And the first thing I did is I was very new to many of the sports books in Michigan. I signed up for the bonuses and converted bonuses for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then I started doing the arbing at a lower rate. But even at that, after 1 month, I was up $12,000 just from bonuses and some arbing. And then that was in the late October, November timeframe. And then in December, I did a lot of arbing, and I think I made like $10,000, $9,000, mostly on arbing. Then I didn't go into overseas sports books until January, February, and started learning that they give out a lot of bonuses, even more so than the U.S. They have a lot of reload bonuses, continuously, coming back and reloading with them. So it's been another avenue for me, and I've been consistently close to $10,000 every month. And I had a couple other little strategies there. Like for this one, I did really good with this strategy during the NBA season. There's so much movement on NBA money lines, not only main markets, not only the money lines, but the over/under and the spread as well. A lot of movement in NBA basketball. And so it was really lucrative to do this. And to be honest with you, I wasn't super proficient with it like I anticipate that I will be next season, and will be doing even better. Now I have incorporated some strategies on how not to be limited And for the most part, I'm still on a lot of P1 accounts across the board. So I think they're working. I'll save that for another video. Excuse me. All right, let's take a look here. Bottom of the 6th for the Guardians. Top of the 5th for the Cubs. Nationals are only up 3-2 now. But we'll hold on to that. That's looking more like a let it ride. Yankees are 2-0, although the line's coming back down. The Royals must have somebody on base. Might be a good time to jump on the Yankees at 286. Pinnacle has not posted a line yet. All right, 286 is a bit of a value to Pinnacle's 300. Let's lock in the Yankees, one of the better teams. Yankees, 286, straight bet, 300. All right, lock that in, write it down. My bookie, line just moved, did not go through. 333, let's take a look here. Still 30 points. Oh, that's the wrong game. Now it's opposite. That's not good. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Minus 333 this is moving down. 306. Bet Mania or Bet Online is 300. We don't have access to it right now. So we can say bye-bye. This is where you say disciplined. Keep looking at the other games. My book is way off on the White Sox right now, but in the opposite direction. Everybody is off according to compared to Pinnacle on the Marlins, but minus 740 is just not worth it. Got to stay under 500 if you're going to do anything. Everybody's off from the Pinnacle on the Phillies. Everybody's quite a bit off from the Rays versus Pinnacle. So when I say off, I'm talking about everybody against the Sharp Book. And the Rays, the Sharp Book has them plus 370. Everybody else has them higher, plus 350, plus 316 at DraftKings. So you do not want to take that game at DraftKings for 316 when you can go to Pinnacle or FanDuel for 360, 370, and that covers. You're leaving money on the table. So line shopping is very important. Now, there's multiple ways to make money in multiple strategies to implement. This is just one of the things I'm doing now because I have quite a bit of funds in offshore right now. And I have rollovers to hit. So these are good for that. These are good for positive EV. They're good for, baseball has been really good for low holds, right? To hit the rollovers. But, I find this to be fun. I can be here for 1 or 2 hours and do this. And if you don't find this to be fun, you can do other things. You can, scan. Let's see what we got here. If we go to Arbitrage and we go live, based on my 6 books, or let me see what books I have here. 4% minimum filter, main market only. You can do alternate market as well. Today, sports books. It's got everything selected. See where all the action's it. So, I can, if it moves too fast, press the pause. Here's a little extra tip. Wasn't meant to share this in this video, but a little extra tip. Okay, so we unpause it because the lines move quickly. We got a 12% line. Refresh it. It's gone. Okay, we want to refresh 3 times at least. The 471 line is still there. The fever versus the dream. If I got access to DraftKings, access to ESPN Bet, lock in 100 at both, I'm guaranteed $5 to $15, right? I can use the dual screen feature, which will open up 2 windows on my other screen. And we are already logged in. Number 1 first, because if you expand this and look closer, number 1, under 151.5, the one that is out of sync is ESPN Bet. They're minus 140, where everybody else, well, that's not the best line anymore. So it's moving. But I like to expand this to see where the best lines are, right? And what I was trying to get at is when it says number 1, that's saying that is the positive EV side. So that's the side you want to lock in. That's the side that is going to more than likely move quicker than the other side. So you lock in the number 1 side first, which is the EV side. Then you go to number 2 book to lock in the other side for the arb, and that one will typically have a few more seconds to lock down. And if you get stuck, you know, some of these things move, you took the positive EV, so you could let it ride, or you could immediately hedge with something else. So if I ended up taking, I think it was, if I ended up taking an ESPN bet for minus 120, you know, the minus 20 versus 170 is a arb right there, right? And actually is an arb right now between Play Eagle, 162, Bet Rivers, 167, and DraftKings at 170. And this is one of those things that this is a basketball game, and college and WNBA don't move like NBA does, but they do move. There's a lot of points in basketball. Great arb opportunity. If I took the Bet Rivers at minus 167, DraftKings with us 220, you know, that is a very high arb, at least 10%. So what was it? Minus 180 was it, and 220? So 4.5%. So very good. And I don't remember if it was 180 or lower, but it might have been in the 60s, 160s. All right, back to the action. A little sidetrack there. I'll be showing you guys those type of things. So as I was trying to say earlier, if you don't want to sit there all day, just check in right before the game for some arbs. You know, sit down for a half an hour, and try to lock down some arbs, and you're done for the night. You make some money. In some cases, you make a few bucks, and as your bankroll increases, that goes up. And why am I not arbing so much tonight? Well, as I said, my books or my funds, the books that I'm targeting now, today, are offshore books. As you can see, they don't really show up in the arb. They can. Some books like Bet Online show up in there quite a bit. Bet Whale is another one. They show up in there quite a bit, but some don't, you know. And so you can watch them manually, or you can just arb with specific. You know, for me, when I hit the U.S. books and the exchanges, they show up all the time. All right, what are we doing here? I was in my thoughts. Major League Baseball, money line. Reds are still up. Marlins are still up. Cubs are still up, and Phillies are minus 135, 142. Bottom of the 5th. Boston's up. Nationals are still up. Bottom of the 4th. Yankees 2-1. Coming back. Minus 250 versus plus 200 is not a big gap there. I want to jump into the Yankees at some point. We're at the top of the 3rd, so that minus 250 is probably going to go down if they don't score. So we'll hang on. Blue Jays way up. White Sox, Astros off the board right now, except for Caesars. All right, so we did take. No, we didn't take the Yankees. I started writing it down, but it didn't actually go through. But we're coming to the end of my allotted time here that I set for myself. It's 8:20, a couple hours. The fam is back home from doing what they were doing, and I want to spend the rest of the night with them. So what I would do is I would let these last 3 ride. Right now the Nationals are up, the Cubs are up, Cleveland's down, but they're the better team. And I'll monitor on my phone. I'll bring the notepad with me, be close to me, so I know how much I need to wager if I go on my phone. And yeah, I can access those books from my phone. So I think we're going to call it a night here in a moment. And I will come back either later tonight or tomorrow morning to recap what happened and update you guys, but be part of the same video. So when you guys see this tomorrow on Wednesday, you'll have everything front to back. Now, if you guys have any questions, you know, DM me. Love to talk to the community. Love to talk to the fam. I'm going to eventually put this out on YouTube. So if you're finding this on YouTube, subscribe. If you're finding this on X, follow me. If you're finding this on Instagram, follow me. I'm going to just share knowledge with you guys. Now, I offer an ebook right now. I'm going to expand on that soon, but there's an ebook, link in the bio. The ebook is a 90-page ebook that walks you through all the strategies I used in the 7 months to make 65,000. And so that's really good beginner's guide as well. Took a lot of the trainings that I took from my mentors and put it into there as well. And I think it's really helpful. I'm getting good feedback from the community. I also offer coaching. I've been coaching some guys, and that's been going really well. So if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, DM me. We can get you on the calendar. We can do a consultation, see if we're a good fit for each other, see if I can help you, if you can help me, if we can help each other, make it a win-win, and go from there, or just have a conversation. And yeah, I think that's it. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I hope you got some value out of this. And yeah, we'll talk to you later. Okay, and we're back the morning of the 11th. So we're just going to review the plays from last night, see how they ended up. We are logged into OddsJam. Let's take a look here. All right, so if we go to our bet tracker, we'll see that we were up 384 on the day yesterday all together. We filtered this out to yesterday, custom, the 10th. So in all, we played 18 bets, a little slower than normal. Just because I was getting used to navigating on one screen for a little while and just doing this recording. But it's all good. We even made a $400 mistake. So despite that, $384 total profit margin, 5%. So we got overall 5.8% on our ARBs. This is mostly ARBs. We have a few low holds in there as well. Even breaks down by, we lost a bunch of money as my bookie, but money went into Bet Online, every game, UWager, even Jazz Sports a little bit. We lost some money at BetMania. If we look at the tracker, we'll see some of the, get my notebook, some of the action that we had last night. So if we start at the top of the day, we had the Nationals that we let ride. So that was a loss. No, I'm sorry, not this one. This one was a low hold. Is that right? 500, yeah, plus 130, minus 132. This one here was a low hold. So we were just moving money back and forth to hit rollovers. The next one here, we have the Tigers that we took, and then at 300 at minus 120. Then we came back with the Orioles later at plus 215. So that's an ARB there. This was the loss, 175 there, 300 there. That's 475. And we got paid out $550, so it's a profit of $75. The Brewers we took here plus 117. That was an R. If we find Atlanta, yeah, plus 117 minus 124. So the minus is a little bit bigger. This was less than 2% low hold. I think I said R, but low hold for rollover purposes. And so that was 415 there, 500 there, that's 915. We ended up winning 1,085. So we actually made money on that low hold. That doesn't seem right. 915. Oh, we had to split it up in two places, remember? Because one of them had either max limited or max funds. So if we take these two together, 4 and 185, that's 600 plus the 5, that's 11. So we got paid out $10.85. So we lost $15 just to kind of move money around. It's called a low hold. The Cubs we took, and we took them at minus 149 for 178. Did we end up taking the other side with the Phillies? We did not. So we let that one ride, and they came out on top, and we won there about $130, $20. The Braves, that one, the double bet, okay, so that was a lesson learned, right? Sometimes we can't get it all down in one place, so we go to another book just to spread out, the wagers. The Astros, we took a minus 162 here. That's where things might get a little interesting. The Cubs, minus 152. This one here is a low hold, okay? So 194 plus 300 is 494, and we got paid out 488, so we lost $6. A low percentage low hold, just to move money back and forth, especially with BetMania, as I'm trying to hit rollover. The Orioles, we tied this one back to the Tigers bet earlier. The Texas Rangers, we took them minus 161, and then we came back and hedged the Twins. This is where we made a mistake, right? So I placed $300 bet, 486. they started gaining a big lead. We were supposed to take the Twins for $40 to hedge, but I fat fingered it and put 440 in there. And so what we did, we cashed out to get 276 right there. So we were on the hook for 440. Then we took a loss of 270. Is that right? Not 270. My math is off. 170. So we took a loss of 170 there. But it's all right. We live and learn. We move on. These mistakes happen. We just keep grinding. And we came back and we took the White Sox earlier we took the White Sox minus 105, right? And so we did pair that up with minus 105. Yeah, we paired it off with the Houston right here. So we put 700. This doesn't look right. We put 700 to win 585. Is that a mistake too? Let me check here. This was at my bookie. Open bets. Oh, we're looking at a White Sox game. Right, so we took Houston plus 250 at 170 and plus 145 at 400. So we don't have the 170 in here. So what is this plus 400? All right, I'm not doing a good job tracking here last night. Okay, a minus 145, we got that in there. It says 400, not minus, plus 145, 400, okay? Then we had 250, plus 250 for 170, and we do not have that in there. That's my bookie, money line. This was Houston Astros, was plus 250 for 170. This was a loss. This was yesterday. Okay, let's get that right. So I did on my paper square up the 250 line with my minus 105 line. So this 145 for 400, was that the mistake? Yeah, that was the mistake. Why isn't it telling me, oh, cashed out? I made two mistakes. No way. This was supposed to be, I have no idea what that's supposed to be. So then what we did is we took the White Sox minus 105. We actually paired it up with Houston up here plus 250, 170. So this here was a White Sox 300 plus 170 is 470. And we get paid out 585. So about $115 profit. I also took a little bit later the Houston Astros plus 145. And then looking at my ledger, this was a mistake, a $400 mistake at that. Okay, so I made some mistakes last night. This is the other mistake, 440, where I fat fingered. It was supposed to be $40, but I cashed out to limit my losses. Instead of losing 440, I lost 170. And then we have the White Sox here, minus 400 at 800. Oh, that's what we did. That's what we did. Not pretty. Okay, guys. So what we did is we took Houston plus 145 for 400. That was not going well. So we hedged out minus 400 in order to cover the $400 loss that was coming. We put 800 to reduce it to 200, right? So we took a little bit of risk, but I think that was pretty late in the game. The Giants, we took minus 133. I missed a couple opportunities to hedge, but I know that I was kind of busy after with the family, and but ultimately the Giants came back, and we got paid out positive EV there. Seattle, I let that one ride. Did not work out. They were down the whole game. The Angels, I let that one ride as well. They did cover, or they did win. And then, so those three. So ultimately, even with a couple of mistakes, which we're going to do better at, we did on camera, and do this more and more. And I've been doing it for 7 months and still make mistakes here and there. So, but ultimately still up $200 on the day, and $214 and over $7,000 through 10 days. So I'm paced for $21,000 for June. So doing well. I'm going to definitely circle back and do this again tonight. If you guys are interested in a live stream, I am looking at possibly doing that. If you're interested, comment, let me know. Let's just take this as a learning opportunity for both of us. Let's learn this together. I have been very profitable with this, but making over $65,000 in 7.5 months, and employing numerous strategies, but a lot of bonus conversions, a lot of true arbing, and then there's this live edging that I've done with Major League Baseball and with the NBA, which is better because of all the line movement, the constant scoring in the NBA, and the constant up and downs of scores, right? Teams always going on runs. But anyways, let me know if you'd be interested in me doing live sessions of these, in other tutorials. Comment, DM me, let's have a conversation. If you're interested in learning to use all the strategies I've used the first 7 months to get 65,000 in profits, grab my ebook. The link is in the bio. 90 pages worth of a lot of good information. If you want to have a little bit more one-on-one personal touch, DM me. Let's have a conversation. Maybe let's get on a call and talk about some of the coaching one-on-one offers that I have that we can help each other out. And so this one, is a little bit more advanced. We definitely would want to start with the easier things and bonus conversions and straight up pregame arbing, and then eventually lead into live arbing. But we can have that discussion. So DM me. I'll talk to you guys later. Sam Jack, let's do this. Let's get another winning day today, and just keep going up, trending up.